Hello, what is up guys? It is Keegan here, and this is the BBR draft analysis. Yes, I'm doing another Wi-Fi draft league. It has been about a year since the last one I did, and I haven't played any SV Wi-Fi, or any SV in general really. I played a little bit of the OU ladder, but that is about it. So we're going to play a league. I'm super excited for this one. If you guys are coming from the draft analysis, or you're just watching this from the Discord, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you're excited for this season. I know I am. As I said, I haven't done any SV Wi-Fi before, so I'm super excited to get into this, especially with home. There's a lot going on in this season that's going to make it really, really exciting. So for those of you who don't know who I am, if you're coming from the draft stream or the Discord, I'm not someone who's been in the Wi-Fi community, primarily for a while. I've done a few Wi-Fi leagues in Gen 7 and Gen 8, but I'm not one who's been a dominant figure in the community. I've been playing draft leagues since about 2014. I've been playing in leagues like the NPL, which you might have known. Gypsy King played in that a long time ago. I was in that league for a little bit of time. I also primarily nowadays host Emerald Open, which is probably the biggest abnormal gen, I guess you could say, the biggest ADV Gen 3 draft league competition out there. Today I've also played in a bunch of other leagues like DPL, one of the big team tours run in draft league and such. So I've been playing for about, God, what is it now, 7 years, even more? God, it's like 8-9 years. That makes me feel old to say that, but I've been around for a while, and that's basically my draft story. I've been playing draft league on Showdown for about 8-9 years, and trying to play a little bit more Wi-Fi regularly. That keeps me into it, we could say. So the BBR, what is the BBR? A lot of you will be coming from obviously the draft stream or the Discord. We got a lot of great players in here. Amel, someone I'm familiar with from the Team Tour community. J. Ricky was in NPL, at least in the servers for a while, so someone I'm very familiar with as well. Kyle A, another old school classic from the draft community back in the day, and then OG Albina, D-Ray, all of the standard Wi-Fi players that you guys are used to seeing. So a lot of great players in this league, a lot of good competition. We'll get into who I'm playing actually at the end of this video though. In terms of my content and what you can expect to see this season from me, I'm going to be doing 2 videos a week. So I'm going to do the team builder for most of the weeks. If we're going into playoffs and it just doesn't make sense to show the team, I'm not going to do the team builder, of course. But team builder on Friday, battle upload on Saturday. You can expect to see that every week for basically the 8 weeks of the season that we have, unless there's some special circumstances, which I will let you know if we get to that point. Before we get into the draft portion, I want to make a big shout out at this point of the video to Kaz and Gohan for helping me out with the draft portion. I was actually at the MTG Canadian Regional Championship when this draft was going on. For those of you who like Magic, that was it was an interesting weekend. I might talk about it more in another video, not the time and the place now, but that is, the other thing you'll see on this channel if you're stopping by is there will be Magic videos going up throughout the week. But Kaz and Gohan, shout out to them, and they will be helping out throughout the season, and I'll be shouting out other people who help along the way. But they stepped up big time in this draft, and I want to make sure that they get the special shout out they deserve before we get actually into talking about this draft. So as we get into the draft here, I actually ended up with pick number 9 in the draft, which is not great. It could have been a lot better. Usually you want something at the start or the end closer to the wheel. You either get the first overall pick, which you just get the choice of the litter, you get to pick the best Pokemon available. 2, 3, 4, obviously you get that high-end talent in terms of your Pokemon, or you end up with like 15, 16, 14. You end up getting a wheel pick, which is nice. We got 9, which is pretty disastrous. But luckily enough for us, as we get into 9th pick, I'm going to be looking off screen here to look at the picks while I'm doing this. We ended up getting Dragapult at pick number 9, which is just ridiculous. I know that there's a lot of people looking to try new Pokemon. Some people, this is also their first SV league, so they reached pretty high on some new stuff as well. So unfortunately, we ended up with Dragapult. How unfortunate at pick number 9 to get probably one of the best Pokemon available to us. Kind of insane. I also did have Iron Bundle available to me, which I could have made Terra in this league. Certain mons like Dragapult, Shanpao, and such are Terra banned. Dragapult being one of them. Iron Bundle with Terra is in a similar realm to Dragapult realistically in terms of power level, but I mean, what are you going to say? Do not take the Dragapult? There were so many other good Terra options. We got probably one of the best Terra options in round 2, so I'm really happy with how that worked out. So Dragapult, obviously, I mean, what more do we need to say about it? Choice band Dragon Darts, Phantom Force, Choice Spec Shadow Ball, Draco. Like, I don't know. What more is there to say? It's just the most powerful Pokemon in the tier for the most part. As we get into round 2, I wanted to pick a Terramon. I really want to prioritize new Pokemon that I haven't used before. And, well, I mean, Volcarona came to me. What I'm going to do, not take the Volcarona. That's, like, probably one of the best Terramons available. I mean, as a setup sweeper, just, you know, an insane Pokemon in general. Heavy-duty boots in the last gen really gave it kind of that protection it needed. One of the struggles I had using it, I actually used it in a Wi-Fi league back in Gen 7, the MPL, Major PL, if you remember that league, is that you really have to prioritize hazard removal. And Gen 7 did have a lot of decent hazard removal, to be fair, but definitely a struggle in that gen. And luckily for us, we get to use heavy-duty boots, which is awesome. And then we have the Terra ability, so we have Terra Fire and Fairy. You get 2 Terras that you get to pick. So Terra Fire, obviously, you know, insanely broken in terms of like fiery dances blow through every team, and then Fairy covers a lot of the defensive aspects you might need to use, you know, Volcarona in. Another consideration for Volcarona could have been Terra Grass, but it didn't really make a lot of sense offensively. You're just going to get more mileage out of Terra Fairy and Terra Fire in the long run with only 2 types. So those are the 2 types we picked with, and honestly an amazing start. We got one of the best, you know, one of the fastest Pokemon in the generation, one of the best cleaners available, and then probably the best setup sweeper, especially with Terra in the tier. It got banned actually, a couple days ago. Obviously, you know, the correlation is not entirely 1-to-1 in draft, but if you can get a Pokemon to that level in round 2, then you're feeling pretty good about yourself. Round 3, we finally get our first new Pokemon, Iron Hands. As someone who is a boomer of Draft League, I remember the days of round 1 Conkeldurr in ORAS draft. It feels like we've come a long way since then. And obviously that these 2 Pokemon aren't the exact same, Conkeldurr and Iron Hands, but they kind of feel similar in a sense. It feels like we're going a little bit back in time with this one. Obviously, you know, the electric typing in addition to the fighting gives the ability to break through water types, which is going to be really crucial for this team, mainly because we don't have that Terra Grass on Volcarona. So we are going to actually need to break bulky waters. That's one of the main reasons to have a Terra Grass, for example, is to, you know, to Terra Blast through those bulky waters. You know, you can Giga Drain. You know, Terra Fairy, Giga Drain will probably do the job most of the time when you're setting up. But, you know, with Terra Grass, it does make it a lot easier. But as we said, we got Iron Hands to break through those down. It just breaks through so many things. These first 3 Pokemon in terms of offensive output are just so powerful in what they can do in terms of, you know, breaking down defensive cores that, you know, my opponents might have. And that's basically all you really need to set up a lot of Volcarona endgames, which is probably what a lot of our teams are going to be based on this season, is, you know, using Dragapult, Iron Hands, and the rest of our team to set up Volcarona endgames. With the next few picks, it was time to go defensive, and in round 4 we picked up Diancie, one of the premier defensive mons I think in this tier. If you look at the top tier threats across SV Wi-Fi, it's pretty much able to handle most of them, which is pretty convenient, especially where fairy typing is, well, let's say the fairy types leave a little bit to be desired in the current SV home, you know, draft pool that we have available to us. So at 8 points, maybe a little bit of a reach in round 4, but solidifying a fairy and a Pokemon that can come in on almost anything in, you know, the top end of the tiers, you know, it's going to be very useful. A mon that I used at NCP actually in the last Wi-Fi league that I did on that Momentum sand-based team in Gen 8 was very good way to, it was a really good 6 mon on that team, and that's kind of where I envisioned it being in this team as well. A good hazard center and a good 6 mon to kind of get around the team, switch in on premier threats, and then get out into my powerful hitters. Vaporeon was the next Pokemon I picked. Obviously it's a draft team, you gotta have a bulky water, and Vaporeon fits the bill perfectly. You know, obviously no Scald, which, you know, kind of sucks. You know, that was one of the big reasons to use in the past, but Wish support, with not a lot of momentum right now on this team, Wish support is going to be crucial, as we're going to have to switch in on some hits, and that'll make things like Dragapult and Iron Hands last just that little bit much longer, which is going to be very crucial. And obviously, you know, it's got a plethora of other options available to it as well, but those are the 2 mons primarily going to be tasked with the defensive roles on this team. Now, getting back into the new Pokemon trend of this team, we actually only got, I think, like 3 new Pokemon on this team, which was a little unfortunate. I would have liked a few more, but it is what it is. We get Iron Jugulis, I think is how this is pronounced. What I like about this over Hydreigon specifically for this team is that because of the flying typing over Dragon type, it doesn't overlap at all with Dragapult. So it gives me a really good speed tier. Well, that's one of the things you're going to see throughout the rest of this draft, is we're going to try to fill in a few more speed tiers to make it more difficult on my opponent to not just, hard bulk on stuff like Volcarona and Dragapult. They actually have to respect a little bit of speed on my team at different parts of the speed tier. Not much to say about Iron Juggles, really. It's got some good moves. It's got U-turn, which is good as well for momentum into stuff like the Dragapult, the Iron Hands, and the Volcarona, while also having good utility like Taunt, and then just being a standard good special attacker. Pick 7, this is where we get a favorite of mine. Uxie is a Pokemon I've been using for a long time. I played a lot of Gen 4 back in the day, and I loved using Uxie there. And I think I had Uxie in my Gen 7 Wi-Fi League that I did. God, it's been so long since I've looked at those videos. I could probably go back and find the docs, honestly, and see if I did. But Uxie is just a really, really good hazard and U-turn mod as well. It's got a lot of other interesting application, though, that it's gotten recently. So where in previous drafts I've used it, it's just been, a defensive pivot, comes in, takes a hit, it's U-turn, stealth rocks, gets out of there. There's going to be a lot more utility on this mod, which I'm super excited to give a go in this draft. And as we get into the final few mons, we're going to kind of speed through this because there's not too much to talk about with a lot of these once you get to the end of the draft. Low Kicks, I think is how it's pronounced, we picked up at 8. A new mon, which is really nice. Gets bug typing, which is, an interesting offensive move. I've had a lot of success using offensive bug types like, Mega in the past. If you've seen my NPL runs before, I've deleted a lot of them off YouTube, but the replay still exists. I've had a lot of success with it with Mega, for example, so obviously not close to being the same, but an offensive bug type, always an interesting type to have, puts a lot of interesting pressure on opponents' teams. We get a spinner here at pick 9 with Cragganol. An odd choice for a spinner, obviously being weak to rocks, but once again, heavy duty boots is the perfect resolution for all of your problems in team building. Put heavy duty boots on everything, might as well. It's never a bad item. So it's also got ice typing, which is a really good offensive typing as well. So there will be some interesting pressure with that going on, but primarily, just in case we need a spinner on our team, that is going to be our dedicated spinner. Ground type, we don't have one of those yet, and that's what we pick up at pick 10 with Palisand. You need a T-Bolt switch in on these teams. We have a few that can neutrally switch in onto some T-Bolts, but none that can really take those those high-end T-Bolt damage output. So really important to get a ground on every team, and that's what we do with Palisand and Tauros. Once again, we wanted a speed option on this team, and we picked up Tauros. 110 speed, very, very important to pick up there. So that is the team. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I think it was a really, really interesting team. As I said, Kaz and Gohan put in a lot of work helping me build this team while I was out on vacation at the regional championship for Magic the Gathering over the weekend that this draft was happening. They picked I think they were at pick 5 to maybe 9 maybe, I think, while I was out and about. So they really stepped up and helped out with that one. So that's the team. Let's get into the schedule here. I'm going to open it up on my screen here. We got some really big games on the schedule this time around. So we got week 1 is what we're going to see next week. Druby, he's been around the community for a long, long time. So it'll be nice to play against him. Some familiar faces as well. Amel, J-Rookie. I think I played Amel in my NCP season. Actually, week 1 we played him. He brought a really, really interesting team in that time, in that series. And then we play against T-Row and D-Ray, 2 players we also played in that NCP season. So a little bit of crossover. We played the 2 finalists as well from the last BBR season, J-Bear and John Jr., and then Kyle A in week 5. A really, really interesting, and we can't forget T-Row, the person who beat us out in playoffs in the last Wi-Fi League I was in. So a little bit of revenge we want to get there, but a really, really interesting schedule and some teams and some matchups that I think you're going to really want to see in the team builder portions of the uploads. I think there are going to be a lot of good insights to get from that, while I'm also learning the format and then hopefully bestowing some of the knowledge I have on you guys as well. So that's all I have for today's video. Team builder next Friday for the game against Druby. Make sure to check out Druby's draft analysis and everybody else's draft analysis in their channels in the description down below, and join the Discord server, react to my role, watch my videos as soon as they come out. As I said, if you guys haven't already, make sure to subscribe and like the video. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, have a wonderful day.